Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Idle Park Talk Show. I have a few questions for you. Do you find it challenging to set goals? Have you ever set goals and found them difficult to achieve? Do you feel stuck in your personal, social, and business endeavors? If yes, then you need a coach. On today's episode, we have invited Mr. Ndoping of Ndoping and Co. Coaching. He is a certified personal and business coach. Mr. Ndoping is a business executive. He is a manager. He is a leader. He is a mentor and a community leader. Mr. Ndoping, welcome.
Thank you very much for having me.
How are you?
I'm doing good. And how are you too?
Good. Thanks for coming again.
Thank you.
We all need coaches. Maybe we'll just go back to the beginning. Like, how did you get into the space of coaching, and what was the story for you?
Coaching for me really came about from my lived experiences. Just so you guys know, I'm actually from Cameroon, which is not strange. Mm-hmm. And before I left Cameroon a couple of years back, I started my career within the government. So went through the prestigious institution, which you guys know about, and found myself within the government. Mm-hmm. But I always realized one of the things I always wanted to do was to support and build people. I think that led me to going to study international development in my master's degree in Europe, and also taking another master's, which was a research focus on welfare policies. I worked a little bit within the Danish Refugee Council. Within that period of time, a lot of what I did was really mentoring young and new staff that were, really starting their profession. I also wanted to support underrepresented communities, which has always been a passion for me. And that passion for building people really, led me to wanting more. Moving to Canada, a couple of years back, close to a decade now, I did some research. I started working with the organization now that is more or less one of my, my main clients within Ndoping and Co. And I became a manager. And part of my responsibility was supposed to be leading client success coaching across Canada. So these are different client success coaching. And just to give you guys a background of what that organization does is that we provide funding for foreign trained professionals like doctors, dentists, lawyers who come from other countries and then they want to practice in Canada. So we are able to fund them and be able to support them through the process. So client success coaches are actually the main engine of the company. They are able to coach this group of people, and they are able to more or less handhold them and support them within the mentoring process. So working as a manager for client success coaches and also within the application process, I found that there was a need for more, not just, using my experience as a manager or as a mentor. I found that there was a need for more. The first step I took, that was about 3 years ago, was to be able to take a management course, an MBA course at Rodman School of Management on management styles and systems. And so that also gave me a hunger for really digging a little deeper, because it made me to find out a couple of things. One of those major things was I had been living in my comfort zone for too long, and I needed to push myself out of that comfort zone. And I asked myself, where is that niche which I could build for myself and build for communities and tie that to a background? Coaching became second nature, and I decided to take a full course at a Canada Coach Academy for 1 whole year. And that's what actually gave me the certification. And not just that, I decided to become a certified coach, which gave me the credentials that I have right now. And then the company that I was already working for actually became my first major client, because even though I was working as a manager, and I had to draft the whole program to be able to not just be managing them, but to coach different aspects of the company. And within this journey, it's just been amazing. Working with people, I work with clients even across Canada, which is clients in like Toronto, Ontario, which right now we have a pandemic on Zoom. And I even have some clients which I've started working with in Europe, even though I'm in Canada. So that's actually my personal journey of how, I moved up to the place where I can say now being a coach. And
So first things first, for I think for an average Joe on the street, for someone like me, when I hear coaching, I think sports, I think football, I think someone yelling and shouting and getting you to work. What is coaching? What is and who is a
sort
coach,
of a
by the way?
broader sense of it.
Who is?
amazing. I love that question. I've got that question a couple of times. So I'll just give you guys the different aspects of coaching. So I'll just give three broad areas of coaching. One of them you just mentioned, which are sports coaches. So sports coaches will be considered more or less like a director of a team, right? They lead, they give instructions, they push, they shout, right? They're actually behind you for you to be able to succeed, which is a different niche in coaching. Then you have personal and wellness coaching, right? A lot of them will come in place like now. People have been stuck with COVID. People are going through personal challenges.
Right.
Some people want to lose weight. Some people want to just be happy. Some people are going through grief. Some people have personal goals that they've set for themselves. And they need somebody to be able to move through with them in that journey. That's where a personal and wellness coach comes in.
Right.
Now you have a personal and business coach, which is, people like ourselves. We work a lot more on a higher level. We work on strategy. We work on fine-tuning goals. We work with business executives. We work with even persons who maybe want to even just start a business. You have an area where you're stuck on, and you need to be able to evaluate a couple of things. The underlining fact of coaching is that coaching looks ahead while therapy looks behind. Let's say you've gone through a trauma, you've gone through a couple of things. What you need is therapy. What you need is counseling.
Right.
But now coaching moves you from where you were to where you want to be. So
Right.
if you set a goal, you set an objectives, you want to move forward in a business, there are certain things you actually want to solidify for yourself. Maybe you're in a career that you don't want to be in, and you want to be able to have another career. These are places where a personal and business coach can actually come in and help. We help with group, individual, team. We also do team exercises. We do motivational speaking. We do different things to be able to either put projects together or move projects forward. So that's just giving you a basic idea. But to define coaches per se, I mean in professional coaching.
Yeah.
So coaching, as a definition by the International Coaching Federation, which I'm part of, based in the United States of America, is a thought-provoking and creative process that actually inspires an individual and actually helps them to use their creative potentials to move forward to achieve a goal or objective. So that definition alone actually differentiates professional coaches from sports coaching,
Right.
because we don't direct. We actually use tools to be able to bring out the best out of you. We ask questions, and we use those questions to be able to guide you. There's some amount of accountability there, because the moment you sign on a coach, you are signing up with an accountability partner who actually works with you in the process to achieve a goal or objective. So which means you're signing to have somebody by you who's going to be by you till the end for you to achieve that goal. There's never 100% guarantee of an outcome, because what you put in is what you get.
out.
Which means the moment you want to get something out of coaching, you need to give in your best.
Yeah.
And a coach uses all the tools. And that's why, it's easy for people to call themselves a coach, but it's different to be a certified coach.
Right.
Because you are trained with certain tools to be able to walk through somebody that journey for them to achieve a goal or objective.
And you just mentioned that. I was going to ask what is the difference between you and me going to my dad and seeking advice and seeking direction
Right.
and seeking that push, right? I mean, one could argue that everyone here has a coach, some sort, right? You could argue
Your
that. So I just
parents,
wanted, your friends, your parents, those who
family.
push you, those who hold you accountable.
Right.
So again, I was just going to bring that up. You mentioned the difference, but I thought for an average man like me, without looking at the definition that you provided, I would think that everyone around me is a coach, right? Yeah, that might not.
To varying degrees.
To an extent.
And I agree with you to a large extent. And if you go online, you see everybody say, I'm a business
Yes.
coach, right?
Exactly.
People just take titles, which is free.
Yeah, of
Titles
course.
are free for people to take.
Yeah.
But to be very honest, lots of them are mentors. So
Right.
what your dad would do for you, what your friend would do for you, they could be a mentor
Mentoring,
to
right.
you. And mentors just simply advise. Coaches really don't advise, right? Those are either what we call consultants or mentors, right? Who advise you. Coaches will give what they call solicited advice, an advice that is solicited, which means it's when the coaches has explored all your options to be able to find a direction that a coach will actually ask your opinion if you need the advice. So coaches actually are trained for a period of time. It's not like a microwave training whereby you simply jump in for, I go take an online course for 3 weeks, for 3 months, and I come out and I call myself a coach. No, a coaching should have gone through a certified program, and there are tools actually, because when I was going through the program, I've always felt I'm a coach, to be very honest. Even before I took a certified coaching program, I always felt I was a coach, but I was wrong, because a lot of what I was doing was mentoring and consulting. And it's so similar where people can call you a coach, but a coach, especially a professional coach, it could be life or wellness, it could be a business coach. You should have gone through a process where you're trained to be able to use some tools in a very professional way. And those tools actually support the individual to be able to achieve that goal. So that's a difference. Your father can mentor you, as I said. Your father can be your consultant, but your father is not actually a coach. Actually,
so what I hear, and this is just me thinking to myself, it's kind of like a blur line. And there's some aspects of it which comes naturally. Then you have to fine tune it through lots of training that you've gone through. Where is the balance between sort of the nature versus nurture argument? Where's the balance of, do you have to naturally have that instinct of being a coach and then you supplement it by some sort of formal training? Because like you said, there are a lot of people who call themselves coaches out there. Like, how much training do you need to add to some natural talent to become a certified coach?
So what I always say in this case is one, coaching is not for everybody. Coaching could also be like a calling, right? It's a profession where you should have a deep need to be able to support people. You should be being invested in really building people. It's not just a career where I just want to earn money. Because I could get very disappointed. So one, that should be something that you should find valuable to you, that if you build people, you enjoy it. You get pleasure in the process of it altogether. So I think the interest actually counts first. Everything can be trained, right? If you have that interest, that's the first step, and then you can definitely go through training. And to be very honest, when you Google online, you see millions of training for coaches, but not all of them are certified. And that's the difference between a certified coaching program and just a training program. When I was doing my research to be able to take a coaching program about 3 years ago, I found coaching programs that were cheap. I could spend even less than 50 grand, just an online course. But in the end, do I get enough that I can be confident?
Did you say 50 grand?
Less than 50, less than $50.
$50.
Oh, I had 50 grand.
Sorry.
I'm like, wow.
Less than $50. That I could just take online courses, which I could run through maybe a week or two, and I could call myself a coach, right? But the problem is, will I get the tools, and will that give me enough confidence to support my clients that I'm working with?
Let's talk about the tools that you possess in order to help people. I'm hearing a lot of psychological support, a lot of, can you talk a little bit more about what tools you not necessarily tools, but how you support your clients?
Yeah, so one of the key things a coach wants to know is actually, what do you plan to achieve? What's your goal? What's an outcome that you want to get? And most coaches will offer what they call a discovery call. And that's an assessment call. That's the first stage, is that I need to be able to understand. Let's say you come to me and say, I'm planning to grow the Ndoping show to a very big business.
Maybe we'll come to you.
And of course, I start from there, and then I'm able to ask you some specific questions that digs a little deeper. What we call our coaching is we peel the layers of an onion, right? And sometimes what you might think you want might definitely not be deep down what you want to achieve. And those are what we would use as tools, is to be able to ask you some specific questions that dig a little deeper to open you up, and you find out what's within the surface. Sometimes it could be just, it's a feeling, but actually there are other things that have been holding you back from achieving another goal. And it's so easy, what we call silencing all the voices, because each of us have different things we want to achieve. And there's so many noise that is moving all around. And it could easily confuse us to feel this is what I want to get. But actually there's something deep down that we want to achieve. And those are some of the things which training helps me to be able to use some of those ideas to ask you the right questions that digs a little bit deeper, and then I'm able to find out where exactly you want to go, and then support you in that process. Another thing I personally include in my own coaching package is actually I include what I call coaching mentoring, which means when I go through with you in a process for a couple of sessions, I'm able now to support you in the end to achieve a goal, which means I'm trained, like I talked about the course I did at Rodman School of Management. I'm trained on management system and management styles. I'm trained on gap planning. I'm trained on performance agreement. So some of those other things that you might need to implement, that's when in the end, when we've actually fine-tuned everything, then we can actually take a definite direction.
Yeah, I think a question I have is, who determines the goal? Is it the coachee? Is it the coach? Is it a partnership? Do they both figure out what the goal should be or what the goal is?
So 100% is the coachee, which is the client, that determines the goal. A coach cannot tell you what you want to achieve. If I want to put it in very simple terms, lots of books have actually brought this out, is that naturally if you go through an unstimulating life, you use just 10% of your brain capacity, and that's where a coach comes in to be able to tap into more of that brain capacity. So the coach is not determining the goal. The coach wants to know the goal, but the advantage of using the coach is that what you might feel is a goal might not actually be the goal, right? So, but the goal needs to come from you. In the beginning, I will not ask about a goal. I'll ask what's on your mind today, right? Or what do you want to achieve out of this coaching session, right? Once you give me an idea of what you want to achieve out of the coaching session, I start asking some specific questions. And those questions, they lead to another. And you answering the question, that's why I talked about coaching being a thought-provoking and creative process. So you answering the questions, you're also reflecting. And there are certain times where you might be surprised about things that will come out of you that you never even thought, right? And that's where I talked about, you could say something to me, but actually you want to achieve something else. But that's where the partnership comes in, is that you're having somebody who has the skills to be able to ask you the right questions and support you through that process to be able to come out with a solution. Because in the end, to be very honest, you own the process. I always tell my coaches, you are the boss, but I'm simply here to support you. You own the process, and I am your partner to be able to help you achieve that goal.
We human beings are quite complex people, and you kind of alluded to the fact that you have to help kind of like pinpoint what is it that the coachee actually wants. How do you navigate a kind of like a resistant mind, like people who are not very clear in their goals, or some people who are deliberately just being kind of like manipulative to maybe actually not really open up to what they really want? I imagine you come across that quite frequently.
Before you just to add, how do you get the client to see that past what they're asking for at the beginning of the session, the coaching session?
That's a very good question, and to be very honest, and just give you one very flat answer before I go to another one, is coaching is not for everybody.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Right. If you actually want to have coaching, to an extent, you should want to have coaching.
You too.
There are times where you're stuck somewhere.
Yeah.
Where I can understand that there's something blocking you back. And that's where I dig into what are some limiting beliefs, what are some things that have happened in the past that are holding you now, right? There are a couple of questions I can ask, which can